You are listening to the Two and Out CFL podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Grab some poutine and a double-double. It's time for the Two and Out CFL podcast.
He's got it! Oh, baby!
Every week, Travis Currah.
That's Grey Cup me, which is a different person.
And Brazilian Ty.
Hunters are people too.
Talk fantasy football, bring you the latest in CFL news, and sprinkle in a little bit of nonsense.
Oh, nearly intercepted, and it's over!
Ready, set, hunt!
It's Travis Currah and Brazilian Ty for this episode of Two and Out as we actually near episode 400 of the show. I had a different opening planned, but it's funny. If you go back to the thumbnails of the show on YouTube, you can see like I grow like a chia pet and then I get a haircut. But you are just all over the place, my man. You had a glorious mustache for the previous episode, and now it's just not so glorious.
It's too hot out, and the amount of water I drink and the food I eat, it's gross during the day. It's just not worth it.
It's the ice cream that's a real challenge.
I don't eat ice cream.
Like, ever?
Blizzards aren't ice cream. We can't legally call it ice cream. So I don't eat ice cream.
I do want to wish a congratulations to the long-suffering fans of the Vegas Golden Knights who finally have themselves a championship team to root for. Because Lord knows the Raiders are never going to win anything.
When Oakland moves there, they aren't going to win anything. Like when the Athletics.
I don't know. I saw this fan standing outside of T-Mobile Arena. It's been a long 6 years.
Hey, but Bill Foley must have had the script.
I feel so bad. Well, yeah, he said what, a championship within 6 years?
Within the first 6 years. And then I was walking home from ball last night, and it was like, oh, they're the quickest expansion team to win a Stanley Cup. I'm like, well, that's. But the Oilers were a merger team, so it's not technically an expansion team.
Hey, it didn't take the RedBlacks long, so good for them.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're going to win another one anytime soon. So
doesn't look like it, does it? The Hamilton Tiger Cats have unveiled plans for an enhanced stadium for the 110th Grey Cup this November.
Going from 10 Timbits to 20.
Hey, they're calling it Grey Cup Social 2.0, the South Plaza tailgate experience for the fans. Looked like it was a good time in there. I did have sideline seats with the rest of the bougie fans at Tim Hortons Field in 2021. But that sideline terrace looks pretty cool. I think they've got a pretty big task ahead of them. Hosting a Grey Cup twice in 3 years is
and one
easy.
that should be well attended, no restrictions. Like it's going to be,
exactly.
People are going to be expecting a lot.
Yeah, there were a lot of folks and regulars that decided not to go to Hamilton with all that was going on. I evaded COVID somehow, and I needed to because I had to take a test to go to San Francisco the next week. I don't know how I pulled it off.
Like if I was you, I wouldn't have gone.
Man, I was sitting at the Shoppers Drug Mart waiting for my results.
Just sweating bullets.
I'm like, I'm sure I have it. But I didn't, apparently. So I was able to fulfill that trip to California. Week 2 is getting underway right away here as the Calgary Stampeders are 5-point favorites over the Ottawa RedBlacks here. The over-under set at 43, but big news for the Stamps as star running back, arguably the best in the Canadian Football League, Kadeem Carey is on the 6-game injured list. However, Ty, the Stamps might be the most well-equipped team to face an injury like that.
Yeah, Mills, I think, is on the depth chart.
He is now, yeah.
And Peyton Logan, those are two guys. And they got all three of them into games in the last season, whether it was returning kicks and stuff like that. So guys have been getting playing time. They know this offense, kind of a plug and play. They can share the load a little bit because we know what Calgary has done in game 1 with manipulating the rules a little bit. I shouldn't say manipulating the rules, finding the loophole in the rule. So I don't think it'll be that big of a drop off. Yeah, it is. It sucks to lose a guy like Kadeem Carey. Like you said, probably the best running back in the league right now. Andrew Harris is a beast, but that's aided. So no reaction. Wow. But
I guess I'm so
don't-
used to it.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like when my dad says he'll talk to me later.
Oh, collective tears
Yeah.
from everyone
But I
listening.
like, yeah, it is a drop off to another player on the depth chart. Like, it's nothing against Peyton Logan or anything like that, but I don't think the drop off is going to be as bad as it would be on a different team.
It is difficult to find stats from last season currently as the CFL is upgrading some of their systems. Dedrick Mills did have a few big games last year when he got onto the roster.
If I had my laptop,
Yeah, exactly.
I had all of that.
Ty takes his laptop to the repair shop today. It turns out that the repair shop ordered the wrong screen.
Or they sent the wrong screen. I'm going to give
something
Kevin's Computing, who's nobody named Kevin even works there. I'm going to assume they ordered the right one and got sent the wrong one. Now, if I get the wrong one again Friday, I'm burning the place to the
ground. That's on the record, brother. That is on the record. Mills got onto the roster last year. He had big games. Peyton Logan had big games. No, right now, Peyton Logan is marked as the designated American on the depth chart. If you had to choose one guy, who are you choosing? I know that Mills is listed as the starter. I'm not really sure that means much.
No.
But it might be a pretty close split in carries, hey?
I think so. I think they can kind of share the load, and if one guy gets hot, they'll ride him. Mighty Ducks 2 style.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. They both have the ability to put up big numbers, Mills and Logan. And another Calgary Stampeders note, Derek Dennis was released during training camp, and now he's announcing his retirement. And he's been on this show a few times, always been good to us. And look, 2 and Out Live, the sequel in Calgary during the 2019 Grey Cup, during the last minute, we were scrambling, looking for a guest to join us. And it just so happened,
than my mother.
Yeah. That Derek Dennis basically lived right across the street from Booker's Barbecue. So he wandered over, and it was such a great time meeting him there. And I know a lot of the other fans in the building had a great time meeting him. He is going to focus on his media / coaching career. So I don't think we have heard the last from Derek Dennis. I
hope he live tweets every Stamps game.
Agreed. And I would like to see an offensive lineman on the panel. I think
something's been missing since Schulte left.
Absolutely. And I think he would be great on there, and he'd be a great coach, and he's a great offensive lineman in his career. And I hope he sticks around CFL circles.
And I know who I would get rid of off the panel to make room for him.
I know who you would get rid of too. Brazilian Ty.
Fair enough.
Rene Paredes is pulling double duty this year as a firefighter and a kicker for the Stampeders. He's 3 field goals away from reaching 500. And as some things go, he very well could reach that milestone in this game.
After last week, nothing's certain.
Yeah, he could kick 6 and get to 503. We never really know.
He could have 5 attempts and miss 3 of them.
Yeah. Now, there's also been a change in running back for the Ottawa RedBlacks. If you're building a fantasy lineup and you are looking for a cheaper option, Demontre Tuggle is listed as their starting running back, as Devontae Williams is not on the depth chart for the Ottawa RedBlacks going into this game against the Stampeders. But I'm going to say here, the RedBlacks are in tough in this one. I know Nick Arbuckle is playing his former team in the Stampeders, but the front that the Stamps have, they have still a formidable defensive line and great linebackers there. Ottawa's going to be put to the test, and their offense, I just kind of see those struggles continuing here.
And Calgary doesn't have to send 6, 7 guys to get to the quarterback. They can send 3 or 4 and get pressure. They may not get sacks, but they can disrupt timings and all that stuff and get in the quarterback's face. And if they decide to start blitzing, I mean, all bets are off, and Arbuckle could be running for his life.
Yeah, he needs to limit turnovers, which goes without saying. 3 interceptions in week 1. You can't do that against Calgary, and I know it's
You
cliche.
it feels like you can do it against this Calgary team, though.
Maybe. I think Jake Maier's going to have a lot to prove here. And Luther Hakunavanu, the Canadian receiver, he's been limited in practice as well. So they're going to need to get Malik Henry going. They're going to need to get more balls Reggie Bagleton's way. But last week, 6'3", 223-pounder Trey Odoms-Dukes had a nice game for the Stamps. He's under $5,000 on fantasy, so he's in my lineup again, especially if Hakunavanu is going to be limited. Maybe there's going to be more footballs being thrown his way. But this is, I think it's going to be one of those ugly games that are trench battles.
I think so, too.
And the RedBlacks can hang with the Stamps there. They've got veteran offensive linemen. The D-line is pretty nasty too, but the Stamps are welcoming Zach Williams back to the fold on the offensive line, 26 years old, and they're going to be happy to have him back, but it might be one of those down and dirty trench battles here.
We say that, and that feels like that's the only game right now that the RedBlacks can win and stay in, because if Calgary gets out to a 2 or 3 touchdown lead, I just don't see Ottawa being able to muster anything to come back with Arbuckle running the ship right now.
It's kind of like they're going to want to slow down the pace a little bit. I know it's not
1980s
exciting.
Pistons style, beat the hell out of you and just hope.
It's not exciting, but it might just be the way that the RedBlacks can squeak out a win here.
And I got a tea time or no, I don't have a tea time early Friday, so I can stay up and watch a slow moving football game.
Okay, perfect. Jalen Acklin, they're going to want to get him going early and as often as they can. And they need a better performance from their special teams. They couldn't get Devontae Dedmon going against Montreal at all.
I credit a lot of that to Montreal's cover team.
Absolutely.
They gave him nothing. They gave him no room.
So how can Ottawa find him space or get him involved more on the offense? I think a player, obviously they're going to want better production from Justin Hardy, but it seems like Nate Behar is becoming like that second down and Matt Dunnigan beat that point home during the broadcast last week. That second down, that reliable guy for Ottawa quarterbacks. If they need some yards, they need a catch, they're looking his way, and he might have a nice season in that regard.
And you don't want to call it a safety valve because it is a skill. Second down conversions, like as a receiver, if you're making 80% of those catches, you're going to make money. You're going to get paid. Teams are going to be after you because you can keep the offense on the field. And if Nate Behar can fill that role, that's even better for him.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Devontae Williams, again, missing it with the hamstring injury. Dante Bull, the first overall pick, not going to be playing. And Seosi Mariner, the receiver for the RedBlacks, not playing as well with the hamstring injury. Thursday night football. Now, the Friday night game is the Riders home to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And the Bombers are 6.5-point favorites, although... Is that a Manitoba Bison's hat? Look at the Burton Cumming. That is worth going on YouTube for.
No, this is a Manitoba curling hat.
Oh, okay. How can you shave the mustache and then show one of the most...
I can't have two.
One of the most iconic mustaches in Canadian history. That's a beautiful shirt, man.
It's shrunk in the wash.
I think it almost just looks like a baseball tee now.
It is. It's a 3/4.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Not so much 3/4 anymore.
Right,
it's like at my elbow.
Right. Man, that's a great shirt. It is Dad's Night Out at Mosaic Stadium. So Kim Mitchell is playing the halftime show. So we know that Dad will have a great time. Quite frankly, we would have the best time. Yes. The big story here, though, is the Rough Riders quarterback situation. It was the last play from scrimmage against Edmonton on Sunday. The play gets extended. Harris takes an unnecessary shot. and I don't think he's going to be playing. It was a closed practice Wednesday in Regina. Craig Dickinson was asked about the status, and he said no comment. I would like to know what you think about this stuff, Ty, the gamesmanship during week 2 of the CFL regular season.
It's whatever. The way he was walking after the game, it didn't seem like it was that bad. But I mean, 2 days later, there's probably a decent bruise there. That was a really hard landing. Why he was in, we'll never know. That didn't make any sense. Can you leave Shea Patterson in at the end of a quarter to throw a ball after a conversion for no reason? Like, the coaching decisions last Sunday left a few questions left to be answered. But the gamesmanship, I get it. Still another 24 hours before depth charts have to be released. So Dickinson can say what he wants and do what he wants with practices and close them and all that stuff. But I don't really think I would. I mean, if I was Winnipeg, I wouldn't even be worrying about Mason Fine. You prepare for Trevor Harris, because I don't really think that Mason Fine is that big of a threat.
He's currently listed as questionable for the game, Trevor Harris, but the injury report comes out and it says he didn't practice.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just don't understand why, when the injury report says that, it doesn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
That he has to say.
Well, we've
no
also
comment,
seen Dickinson with vet days, but you would think that he would have said it's just a rest day for him.
That's why I think he's not playing.
Yeah,
Practice reports
you can
don't lie.
You can take Winnipeg to cover money line. You can probably take an alternate line and you can buy Winnipeg to win by 7 more points than what they're laying right now.
Yeah, I don't see him getting out there. 2 days before the game, like tomorrow's really good. Thursday's going to be the walkthrough.
Yeah,
so.
and remember when I used to say Toradol was awesome? It's not that great.
You have experience now after your surgery?
Yeah, I want opioids.
Didn't do much for you?
Oh, it's awful. I don't know why the nurses had to wake me up and give me that crap. Just leave me on the Dilaudid. Oh no, he didn't wake up. Darn. A great sleep though.
So the Riders here are banged up. Darrell Walker's not going to be playing, even though he didn't practice Tuesday and practiced in full on Wednesday. Sam Emelis hasn't practiced this week. He actually had a nice game against Edmonton, and he's a receiver that he was a first-round draft pick for the Riders, and my math is 2022. Last year struggled, I thought, a little bit, but hey, looks like he's ready to take that next step. Nick Marshall, doubtful, hasn't practiced.
Hey, that means somebody might actually play defense.
Roland Milligan, I'm a fan of him.
Yeah.
He has been limited and didn't practice on Wednesday. So the Riders do enter this game pretty banged up, as linebacker Derek Moncrief is not going to be playing as well.
Yeah, this is not the week you want to come in banged up. Actually, it might be. You don't want to roll out all your number ones this week and get throttled by 20.
So since it's so early in the season, do you just sit Harris anyway? Just hopefully it doesn't get worse. And
at the same time, though, if you're Dickinson and you sit Harris and you lose and you start the year 0-2.
Yeah. Well, they beat Edmonton, so that helps.
Or sorry, 1-1, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's just like you have to win these games early, because if you dig a hole, you're not coming out. Like, I think if they miss playoffs, like they have to make playoffs this year, or Dickinson's fired.
That's the thing.
If it's really bad come Labor Day, he might be fired by then.
That's the thing. I guess the big picture, you want your starting quarterback healthy, but also Dickinson and O'Day need wins to get that extension.
Before there is a revolt in Regina.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Dalton Schoen is listed as questionable for the Bombers. He didn't practice Tuesday, practiced in full on Wednesday. Jackson Jeffcoat is doubtful, and another defensive lineman, Cam Lawson, is out, who hasn't practiced this week. So the Bombers do have their share of injuries as well. If Dalton Schoen is not going to be healthy, is this going to be another Nick Dembski game for the Bombers?
Well, that's the thing. So Schoen doesn't play. Dembski had a touchdown last week. Wolodarski had a touchdown last week.
Bailey did.
He had a touchdown last week. There's no reason to think that the offense isn't still going to be able to go. Yeah, maybe Dembski's life gets a little tougher.
Yeah.
Because you guys won't have to worry about Schoen out there, but that's going to open up for Wolodarski and Rasheed Bailey a little bit.
Yeah, Dembski.
And they still have Brady Oliveira. Like
it's I don't know. It just feels like Dembski always steps up against the Riders too. Drafted there
doesn't even
originally.
have to look at the ball to catch it. So
yeah. So
not overly worried about the Winnipeg offense right now without Dalton Schoen.
This kind of seems like as long as they can keep Zach clean again.
If Zach Collaros is hurt,
it's
a whole different story. But as long as Zach is there and he's got 3 out of 4 or even 2 out of 4 and Brady Oliveira in the backfield.
I wanted to fit the Winnipeg defense into my fantasy lineup. I couldn't quite do it.
It's worth probably putting them in and making them your captain.
Maybe.
And then just figuring out a lineup.
If you make the defense your captain, that is a bold strategy. I would love to see that.
What if they get 20 points?
They could. They totally could. It just feels like Winnipeg is going to walk into Regina and
Winnipeg's going 15-3 and winning another Grey Cup.
Wow.
Wow. I'm totally. It's week 2, and I'm changing my pick.
And then if they lose this game, they are missing the playoffs.
Trade everybody. Fire Mike O'Shea.
It'll be an interesting one. And look, I thought that nobody could get to Zach Collaros. Toronto proved me wrong in the Grey Cup. So Saskatchewan better be watching that game and seeing what they can do.
Yeah, and at the same time, you can only stop this offense for so long. And Toronto did it and was kind of able to match them shot for shot. Like when Winnipeg did take shots, like Toronto was able to answer right back. I just don't see the Riders offense being able to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be relying on the Rider defense here, who, as we said, they're facing
which they did
injuries
last week too.
Yeah.
But this is a different animal. This isn't Taylor Cornelius.
That's true. I mean, the healthy Anthony Lanier on the defensive line has been big for the Riders, and Micah Johnson being back has been big for the Riders. So I don't know. Can a defensive line win a game? They could, I guess.
Willie Jefferson, Jackson Jeffcoat,
yeah,
and Drake Nevis did it.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens Friday night in Saskatchewan.
Can we bring back the old Friday night theme song?
Yes, we should keep it forever.
Yeah.
We should start a cover band and release a full version of it.
that and the original Shoot Out the Lights for
that's a great song too.
Not for the 5:00 game start, but the 4:30 Hockey Night in Canada pregame stuff.
If you were in a band, what would you play? I have zero rhythm. I can't be a drummer.
Triangle,
yeah. I could do the spoons,
triangle and
maybe.
Backup vocals.
There we go. Yeah.
BC
Lions are 7-point favorites over the Edmonton Elks here, and the buzz in Vancouver this week. What a difference it makes when the team puts in effort.
It's crazy.
Monday was BC Lions Day in Vancouver. Tuesday, they had members of the Uproar dance team at the Granville SkyTrain station giving away free Lions swag and discounted tickets to the game on Saturday. Today, they had pregame hype parties at Save On Foods locations in the neighborhoods.
Was Daryl there?
Oh, I want to meet Daryl. Speaking of legendary Canadian mustaches. And Thursday, they're having pop-up events at the Vancouver Art Gallery. And then Friday, they're throwing that party. The TSN panel is going to be in Vancouver. The Trews are playing. They're having a watch party for the Riders and the Bombers. And then Saturday, the Trews are playing Saturday. Mm-hmm. And then they've got that party. LL Cool J's playing.
45 minutes.
That's cool, man. Like, they got lots going. It's seems like a great time to be a Lions fan.
The marketing, getting out in the community, actually listening to fans and the community engagement, not just getting out there, but actually doing what they need to do to get people there, trying to placate to the younger audience, to get kids in there, making it affordable for fans. It's been awesome to see. Are they selling out? No, that's a big stadium sellout.
It is.
But
the upper bowl's open. They're going to have over 30K.
Right? The Canucks were not good this year. The Canadians, like the Vancouver Canadians, they're not a huge draw. Like they get crowds, but it's not a huge draw. Like you are the number one show in town right now, and they're finally attempting to show that they are.
What a beautiful place to watch a game. I think you got to make it affordable and accessible for people and try to appeal to everybody in Vancouver, which is probably a tough thing to do for that franchise. But it looks like they just keep making steps. And with a guy like Vernon Adams and Dominic Rhymes, they got exciting players that can make plays.
That was the first place I ever saw a CFL game, was BC Place.
Nice.
It was like Labor Day weekend. Oh, I would have been like 8.
Yeah.
Grandpa said he'd never lie to me, and then he lied to me.
What was the lie?
Well, he said he'd get me on the field and get autographs from the players. But no, like the stadium is awesome. Like it's not. Well, yeah, it was traumatic. We got pushed out like the wind doors, like the wind, like the air pressure, like pushes you out at the end of the night. But no, like it's great. Like you said, it's a great place to watch a game. They're opening up the upper bowl. Like and the team is winning. The last 2 years has been really good.
Yeah.
So that helps as well.
There was a scary moment before Lions practice on Wednesday. Philip Norman had they're calling it a medical episode, and he was able to walk out under his own power, undergoing some tests and being looked at right now, but practice was canceled on Wednesday. So, I mean, this kind of stuff, it's pretty scary to see. So all the best to offensive lineman Philip Norman.
Don't go on to Twitter and read the stupid comments.
Yeah, just don't read the comments and don't make them either. The Lions, they did have maybe some injury concerns earlier in the week, but it looks like those guys are going to be okay. Lucky Whitehead, well, maybe he isn't gonna play. He hasn't practiced on Tuesday or Wednesday, so that is a concern for the Lions. And then as far as the Elks go, Luchez Purifoy didn't practice Tuesday. They're calling it dental, so maybe he just had to go get a root canal or something like that.
They're not that bad.
Which I don't think I really want to go to a football practice after going through that.
Just go while the freezing is still in.
Yeah, maybe. You'll feel it when it comes out, though.
Oh, yeah.
Enoch Maconzo didn't practice Tuesday with a bit of a dinged-up knee, but he was back on Wednesday, although Jamin Pelly was limited in practice on Wednesday, had to leave with a back issue there. So some defensive guys that they're going to want on the field for the Elks, because the defense has their work cut out for them here, as we saw the start that Vernon Adams has had to this season. The start of the game he had against Calgary.
9 for 9.
He's a guy that even if you pressure, he can evade pressure. The Elks have their work cut out for a fired up BC Place to contain Vernon Adams and the Lions offense.
Serezna is going to be so gassed at the end of this game.
When you're in chase mode, it tires you out.
It's nuts. But yeah, like he's so mobile, he's so athletic. Not only can he evade, but he can also make plays under pressure.
Yeah. With
guys in his face, he's still able to do that. And with the weapons like Dom Rhymes and Lucky Whitehead, if he plays, it's one of those teams where you have to be perfect almost on defense. It feels like right now. I know it's only week 1, but it's kind of carried over from last year. And if you make mistakes, they're just going to feast on you.
And Taylor Cornelius, to put it bluntly, just has to be better.
Yep.
He's the guy that the Elks committed to and extended. So I think that the leash is
they traded Arbuckle.
The leash there is probably a little bit longer than maybe some Elks fans want. I know that after 18 home losses in a row, you want changes, and Jones can be pretty quick to make changes to find his right guys, but it just appears that right now they're committed.
Yeah.
To
Is Cornelius
Taylor
Mr.
Cornelius.
Right, or is he Mr. Right now?
That's the question, right? But when you have 3 plays, and I know he wasn't in on the play, and you get from the 3rd and 1, and you can't put it into the end zone. A lot did go wrong, but Taylor Cornelius, you need more than half of your yards on one play. You can't throw 2 interceptions
And no touchdowns.
Yeah, it was a rough game for Cornelius against Saskatchewan. But BC's defense has players too.
Oh, man.
And they were...
As long as BC doesn't try the lateral on an interception,
Yeah.
I think we're fine.
Yeah. They were giving Calgary some fits. So it's going to be a loud environment for Cornelius and the Elks, and it's going to be a different one. Do they have the ability to surprise people? Yeah.
Talk about BC's defense. Matthew Betts, Bo Lacombo, TJ Lee, Gary P.
Yeah.
They're all playmakers.
They are.
You have your work cut out. Yeah, you can make a mistake, but you can't, if you're going to make a mistake, your defense, now you're putting it on them to make a stop. And that's a big ask against the offense when they come on the field. This is a team that could win 12, 13 games.
And I know I cherry pick stats like this, but Kevin Brown had 11 carries for 59 yards against Saskatchewan. One of them was for 24. So if my math is correct, it's 10
Just
carries
doubtful.
for 35 yards kind of thing.
Yeah.
The average...
I enjoy stats like that because there is an average for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have, you look at well, what was Geno Lewis's average per reception? Well, he had 102 yards on one of them.
Yeah.
You can't take it out because it happened, but it's inflated.
It is. Yep.
It's not like every catch was a first down.
Yep. So again, I think the Elks are going to want to be much like Ottawa, slowing down the pace a little bit. They're not going to be able to win a track meet with BC, even though there is talent in the Edmonton receiving core with Dylan Mitchell and Geno Lewis, Stephen Dunbar, Kyron Moore, and Kevin Brown's an electric player in the backfield. So they do have that sort of talent, but I don't know if they want to fall behind BC.
No, you can't. You don't want to fall behind. You can fall behind a little. You're probably not going to have the lead the whole day.
Yeah.
You also got to stay super disciplined because if you're giving up free yards to this team, you're done.
Yeah. Free, 40 yards in penalties on one drive. That's not going to cut it. So there's a couple focuses for Edmonton going into Vancouver.
It's hard to focus on 8 things, let alone.
That's true. Now, this one, I think probably the game of the week. Toronto Argonauts home opener, Sunday evening football.
I don't think it is.
What's your game of the week?
There isn't one.
Oh, come on. You have to pick one.
If I got to pick one, it's probably Thursday night.
Ottawa and Calgary.
I think so.
Interesting. Well,
it's because Chad Kelly doesn't. We don't know what the hell he is. I can't call this a game of the week.
Well, the rivalry makes it the game of the week for me.
Yeah, the hatred.
And I mean,
the hate flow.
Chris Edwards, as a Ticat, back to Toronto, receiving his championship ring. They're raising the banner in Toronto. Fans getting replica rings. It's no mistake that replica rings are be handing out while Ticat fans are going to be filing through the gates.
Oh, it's such a great petty move. I love it. That's
Ticat fans
just
are going to
makes
be
my heart happy
watching that banner.
But you got to think. You got to think that those replica rings are going to be pretty cheap. Only got to buy 3 or 4 of them.
They've got 10,000 of them. 10,000 of them ready to go.
Well, I mean, Hamilton is get them too. So.
Now, defenses can win games, and I think the Argos defense has what it takes. We don't know if he's going to be playing on Sunday, but Jamal Peters back for the Argos after being released by the Atlanta Falcons is a big addition back to the defense. The CFL's leading interception guy last year. So having him back in the fold in the double blue is a big one.
It's definitely somebody you have to know where he is on the field. It's the side of the field you kind of want to avoid.
Yeah.
You have to make smart decisions if you are going to go there. You can't underthrow. Like he can do so much to disrupt the passing game from a DB spot. Like it's nuts.
Yeah, we had Will from the Argos fan cast on the East Division preview, and one of the concerns was that side of the field with Jamal Peters moving on to the NFL. Well, now he's back,
Yeah,
so that
there's not a lot of worries. I have a question. How is Henoch Mwamba not in the top 50?
I don't know.
Like, that's wild.
After what happened in the Grey Cup, come on, like. And he gets inducted into the Toronto Sport Hall of Honor, so congratulations to him. I guess he was named the Male Athlete of the Year, so
I'm surprised they didn't just give it to a Leaf.
Yeah, exactly.
They won a series. I mean, they basically won the cup, right?
So the Argos, the team of the year as well, obviously the Grey Cup champions, and Mwamba with the night of a lifetime in Regina back in November. His reaction.
Don't hear that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So congratulations to him, and he's going to keep doing what he does on the field, and I would venture to say well deserving of a top 50 spot in
it's crazy
the
that he's
CFL
not up
players. There. Yeah, but you're right. The big storyline for Toronto is what's Chad Kelly?
Mm-hmm.
What's
Other
he going to
than
bring
Jim's
to the
nephew?
Yeah, what's he going to bring to the table here? We saw him for 10 minutes in the Grey Cup,
and it was awesome.
Yeah, but is he going to be able to bring that against the Hamilton Tiger Cats and that ferocious front?
That 10 minutes, super small sample size.
Yeah,
went in there. Obviously, a condensed playbook for Chad Kelly. I'm assuming last year when he would get into games,
it's all about managing it, not turning the ball over.
100%. He had to Matt Nichols it. This year, full camp as the starter, full complement of plays. It can be overwhelming for a first-time starter. We've seen it. We've seen it with Jake Mayer. We didn't really see it with Nathan Rourke, but
yeah,
but there's plenty of examples of guys who come in and they struggle for the first 3-4 games before they get into that rhythm with the offense and all that stuff. So that's yet to be seen. But I mean, he's mobile. Seems tough. Like, you can take a hit. It's just can he put it all together and win football games? I don't see Toronto falling off the face of the earth. But I also don't see them making the Grey Cup again right now with the quarterback situation what it is, and unless Chad Kelly comes out and he starts 6-0 and he looks awesome.
Yeah.
Then I mean, all bets are off.
We got to mention AJ Ouellette, who might be my favorite CFL player, making
I wonder why
an appearance in Greektown Wrestling, delivering a spear, and then hands off his Argos championship ring to Jock Sampson, who delivered the knockout blow with the Argos championship ring. If that's not...
How is that not a DQ?
Good question. But if that's not pro wrestling at its finest, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
This guy.
I mean, wrestling and pro football, tons of crossover.
There is. We can go back to the great Angelo Mosca, who played football and wrestled for quite a bit.
The reigning, defending Universal champion.
Edmonton Elks. Legend.
Legend. With a J.
AJ Ouellette, I love that guy. And hey, we're going to see how they're going to be handling the backfield. I want to watch that for Toronto too. Andrew Harris on the roster. One last ride in the CFL.
One last shot.
He's had a pretty good last couple of years. Get injured, come back for the Grey Cup and win. So if that continues,
Who's he played for? The Tampa Bay Lightning?
he's living the dream.
Yeah.
He's living the dream. I think all pro athletes, now there are some of the really dedicated ones who love practice, and that's how good they are. But if you're able to skip practice and just go out and play the game, that's what all players want to do, right?
Talking about practice.
Exactly. So we'll
you got to practice like you play, and a lot of guys don't do that.
Yeah.
I practice golf like I play golf. Real.
As for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, they have released defensive lineman Kwaku Boateng. He had a promising start to his career after getting drafted by Edmonton in 2017, but last year with Ottawa, he tore his Achilles, did get signed by Hamilton here, and now he's been released. I hope that he's able to find a new home in the CFL and overcome that injury and do what he's capable of doing. We know Kwaku Boateng has what it takes to succeed in the CFL. Now,
the Turf District made a shirt.
Exactly. Earth Kwaku. How do you beat that?
Maybe they jinxed them.
The 2-0 bump in the Turf District jinx.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, not sorry.
Now, the Ticats are going to want to somehow carry that momentum over from the second half of the Bomber game into this one. Now, they had a blocked punt. They were recovering fumbles. So the defense was flying all over the place. That's what Chad Kelly has to look out for, isn't it?
Ted Laurent, Simone Lawrence, Tunde Ndeleke. Is Dylan Wynn playing, or is he on the injured list?
Well, right now he's on the injured list. But I mean, they've got Casey Sales and
Casey Sales.
They made the Kongbo trade too. So
I forgot about that. That was wild. That kind of hit us out of nowhere last week.
Yeah.
They got guys on that defense and they fly around, and I'm not saying that he's got to keep his head on a swivel for a certain linebacker, but it probably would serve your career in a good way to make sure that you stay out of Simone's way.
I feel like Bo Mitchell is going to want to get Mr. Duke Williams involved more. He had a catch early against Winnipeg and then slowed him down the rest of the game here. I did like the play of Keandre Smith from last week, the Canadian there. He had himself a nice start to the season. So we'll see who gets involved in that aerial attack from the Ticats, because they're going to want to get their big boy Tim White the ball a little bit more as well. But hey, Toronto's defense is no joke. So this might be another one of those games where how's the offense going to be able to succeed against a couple formidable defenses?
Right, and that's where I think Hamilton has a huge upper
an edge.
I can't remember the word. A huge edge, because we just don't know what Chad Kelly is right now.
Yeah, that'll be the thing.
At the same time, Bo is still getting used to new receivers and stuff like that, so it kind of balances itself out. But I mean, I still think that Hamilton should be able to win this game just based on quarterbacks alone.
The Cats 2.5 point favorites on Sunday.
That is tasty.
It's basically a pick 'em, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
Where are you leaning?
I might buy some points.
Okay. My fantasy lineup this coming week is let's see what you think of it. I got Vernon Adams Jr., Taekwon Mizell of the Lions, Dedrick Mills of the Stampeders, Alexander Hollins of the Lions, Trey Odoms Dukes of the Stamps, Dalton Schoen of the Bombers, and the BC Lions defense against the Edmonton Elks.
What's your contingency if Schoen doesn't play?
Might be Dembski, actually.
Oh, and you can still fit him in?
I actually don't know. I might be
Yeah.
$300 away from not being able to fit him in.
Mm-hmm.
So I might see if they will allow me to take money from you and pay them $300.
You can have all 70,000 because my roster is empty slot, empty slot, empty slot, empty slot, empty slot. Because they've ruined it for me.
Brazilian Ty, the most petty guy I know, but that is okay. Who are you picking to win this week?
We're going to be on the same page.
Everybody the same.
It's too not easy this week, but everything just kind of stands out.
Yeah,
as kind of mismatches a little bit. Yeah, they like both either team can win, but they just seem like mismatches on paper. Calgary, BC, Winnipeg, and Hamilton.
Yeah, I've got all of the exact same picks going into this week. I've got Saf Ahmad of the Piffles podcast in the CFL Podcast Fantasy League. I am 1-0 on the season. Let's see if I can make it 2-0. You can rate, review, and subscribe to 2 and Out on your favorite podcatchers. A lot of new folks and new commenters stopping by the YouTube channel as they look at our beautiful faces. And Ty, everyone is still nice.
For now.
For now. There might be some mean ones since you have now shaved off that beautiful lip caterpillar you had.
I can think of a large amount of people that will like that I shaved it, and they're all related to me.
I love this from Hugo Agogo. He said, would Elks fans celebrate a tie at home? Hey,
You have to.
They'll take what they can get, he says. So
Yeah, it's like me at 2 a.m.
maybe in the comments, let us know who you think are going to be winning the games this week. If they're all locks like we think they are, which means we're probably going 0-4 or 1-3.
Remember when I went 78% last year and then went 1-3 last week?
Not good.
Finished 8th in the country last year.
You got a long way.
I'm 11,000th right now.
Ooh. And last week we gave a shout out to the founding fathers of the Patreon.
Don't do it. Don't do it. No, don't do it.
His initials JB.
No, don't do it. Don't you dare.
He was not in the top 4. It gives me it in chronological order.
Then he's not on the Mount Rushmore. You can only have 4.
Yeah. So Steve, Brad, Mark, Randy, they're on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
The next 4, Gord, Michael David Richardson, who's actually paying us in British pounds, Ty.
That sounds like a law firm.
That's true. It does. Joe falls into that tier, and then Julian as well. We actually
even second liners win Conn Smythe trophies.
That's true. We've got a nice community on Patreon. You can support us on there, YouTube, and wherever you find decent podcasts. I'm not going to say good podcasts, just decent. I'm okay with decent. I'm okay with that.
I'd say average.
Okay, I'm okay with average or mediocre. Below, then I start to get a bit.
I'm okay with being average.
We will talk to you next week to recap week 2 of the CFL season.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.